Hello children, I once again welcome you all for English class. Through this video, I am going to explain you the lesson Glimpses of India from your first flight textbook. This chapter is in 3 different units. The first unit is about A Baker from Goa written by Lucio Rodriguez. And in the second unit, it is discussed about a small district of Karnataka called Coorg. It is a coffee country famous for its rainforests and spices, which is brought into light by Lokesh Abrol. And in the third unit, we will know about tea from Assam through the writer Arup Kumar Datta. Now, let us know what the author is going to tell us about A Baker from Goa. A Baker from Goa revolves around the relevance of a baker in the Goan culture, which dates back to the time when Portuguese ruled over the city of Goa. The Portuguese may have left, but the bread makers continue to have an inevitable stature. In this story, the author recalls his childhood days and their excitement on seeing the baker. They were enthusiastic to the point that they would run to him as soon as they woke up without even brushing their teeth. Now, with this introduction of the chapter, let us have an insight into its summary. The lesson begins with how narrator's elders often recall the time when Goa was under the rule of the Portuguese. They talk how the importance of the bakers is still maintained in their villages even after the Portuguese have left. They are known as padders in Goa. The mixers, moulders and their time-tested furnaces continue to serve the people of Goa with their famous bread loaves. It is possible that the original ones may not exist, but their profession is being continued by their sons. The thud of their bamboo stick can still be heard in some parts of the village. The same jingling thud would wake the narrator and his friends during their childhood days, who would go running to him without brushing or washing their mouth properly. It was the maid servant of the house who collected the loaves while children sorted out the bread bangles for themselves. Bakery products have importance in the culture and traditions of Goa. Bowl or sweet bread is a part of marriage gifts. Cakes and bolinas or coconut cookies are eaten at every festival, and the lady of the house prepares sandwiches at her daughter's engagement. Earlier, bakers wore a unique frock of knee length known as kabai, but during the narrator's childhood days, they wore a shirt and trouser of length slightly shorter than the usual ones. They generally collected their bills at the end of every month. Bakery has continued to be a profitable profession, managing to keep their families joyous and prosperous. Now, its explanation more clearly. The story takes us back to the time when Portuguese ruled Goa. They were immensely famous for their breads. The narrator often finds his elders thinking about those good old days and telling them that the famous breads date back to the time when Portuguese ruled over Goa. They ponder over the past and tell them that though the Portuguese have left Goa, but the bakers of bread still exist. If not the original ones, their legacy is being continued by their sons. The bakers are still being referred to as padders. Everything about baking is still the same, ranging from those who mould the bread loaves to the furnaces which have survived the ravages of time. The sound of their arrival and the thud of their bamboo stick can still be heard just like the olden times. The narrator recalls that the baker acted as their friend and companion during their childhood days in Goa. The baker used to visit twice a day, once while he was on the round to sell his loaves, and the other time while returning back with his empty basket, having sold all the loaves. It was the sound of his bamboo stick that woke the children up. The children were so excited to meet him and choose from the bread bangles or kankan he made especially for them. While the bangles were for children, loaves were for the adults that were generally collected by the maid servant of the household. The baker often made a musical entry with his bamboo stick. His one hand supported the basket on his head while the other banged the bamboo on the ground. He would go house to house and greet the ladies before handing them over the loaves. The parents would scold the children and make them stand aside, but as eager as they were, they would climb a bench or the wall to peep into the basket. They did not even bother to brush their teeth before having those bread bangles because it seemed unnecessary effort for them to pluck mango leaves from the branches to use them for brushing the teeth. They considered brushing unnecessary because the hot tea could effortlessly wash their mouth, and they thought that animals like the tiger never brushed their teeth. Bread is an important part of the Goan culture and it is evident from its presence at every important occasion. From sweet breads at marriages to sandwiches at engagement parties and cakes and coconut cookies at Christmas as well as other occasions makes the presence of a baker in every village very essential. Bakers were known to have worn unique knee-length frock dresses typically known as kabai. In the narrator's childhood days, he had seen them wearing shirts and pants whose length was shorter than the usual ones. It was a part of their identity, so much so that even if someone bears the trouser length now, he is said to have dressed like a baker or padder, as was said in olden times. The baker had a way of making monthly records of bills on a wall using a pencil and then collecting the money at the end of the month. Baking has always been a profitable profession. The baker's family and workers have always been happy and joyous. The baker was usually fat, which was proof that he had a lot to eat and hence was a proof of his richness. Even to this day, someone with a well-built body is compared to a baker. With this explanation of the story, we have come to the end of this unit.